Whether you're new to pool and practicing the basics, or a more experienced player performing drills to improve your shot making and positional play, the Drill Partner is perfect for you.
Well, Panozzo, I said we got to do a show, buddy. I know you're on a tight schedule, but it's a pretty
That's
big day. It's a pretty big day, and we got lots to talk about. How are you, Mike?
good. Did we call it or what? Didn't we say Shane and Sky in the Final Four?
The show's called Dogging It for a reason, Mike. I'll put it like that. Okay. So, uh,
Our guys were out before we finished the last show.
I said, who did you? I said, what did I say? I said,
I said Josh.
Better.
I said Josh. You said Federer.
Yeah.
For the off the radar, not chalk pick, I picked Wojciech.
Okay. Who did I go with? And Wojciech was going to be my guy too, by the way. So who did I end up going with?
I don't remember, but he's not still playing.
No, clearly not. Clearly not, Mike. I don't know why people tune into this show anyway. So, sorry, my computer's giving me a little bit of issue, the one that's right in front of me. But, Mike, we got two Americans in the Final Four, which is awesome.
In a while.
I'm kind of surprised here, Mike. I'm kind of surprised. I want to start with the gentleman who just secured his spot. We had a lot of question marks when it comes to the American captain coming into the event, Mike, when it comes to performances and otherwise. Sky started off the day with a comeback victory over Federer Gorst. Federer, we know what he can do and what he has been doing. It wasn't so much that he won because, we all have expectations when it comes to Sky. For me, Mike, and I don't know how much of the match you were able to watch, but it was the manner in which Sky ended up getting that victory. I want to get your thoughts, starting that off with to begin with.
It was great. If you're a Team USA guy, if you're a Sky guy, then it was great. I thought Federer played great.
Who isn't a Sky guy though? I've never met anyone who didn't like the kid.
No, but I mean, there are a lot of guys. There's a lot of people who are Federer fans too.
For sure.
So Federer Sky is kind of like, for me, I was looking at like, I'm happy for either guy that wins, but there's a lot of people who would have picked one side or the other in this, right? But,
yeah.
But Sky, you're right. The way he did it was sensational. When he, at 9-5, when he kicked in that 2-ball off the safe and followed it up with a table length banked onto 3, it was like, wow, the guy's got some mojo in his step now, and from there he was on cruise. So it didn't. I felt bad for Federer, but he didn't. It's not like he dogged it a bunch down the stretch or anything. So
listen, the kid just won $250,000. He'll be all right. I don't. You don't got to feel bad for Federer. He'll be just fine. I know for him, the standard and expectation is a bit different. I'm not taking anything.
I'm assuming that he went off pretty good for that engagement ring, so he's probably trying to make up a little bit of scratch.
Well, he better. That's for sure. There's no doubt about it. He better have.
They both played well, but it was really good to see Sky win the way he won. And then in the quarters, same thing. Sky found himself behind, never got.
Hold on, I want to stop you right there, Mike, because we'll get into that matchup here in a little bit. I want to just continue on a little bit when it comes to the Federer matchup, because for me, that was something that, and the commentator, I forgot who it was during that match, said as much at 5-5. It went 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, 4-4, 5-5. And then they said, you know what, this is about the time when Federer just does his thing, right? And he just catches a different gear. And I think it was a shot down the rail, in percentages weren't the best, but it wasn't a terrible effort by Sky, left it up, and then I take that back. It was a kick by Sky where he ended up scratching in the side pocket that ended up letting Federer get to the lead that he did. But to come back against Federer in that position just really shows like his ceiling, and we've talked about it all year long. Jeremy Jones is in the chat. He mentioned Sky having a good year whenever we talked to him a couple of months ago. And it really hasn't shown its face when it comes to results. We talked about it the other day, whether or not Sky would have a Final 8 appearance. Now here he is in the Final 4, Mike. But what a hell of a time to get your confidence back, to get your game back, and to get back in gear, Mike.
Yeah, no, it's working out pretty well for him, hopefully he'll keep it up.
You there, buddy? Sorry, I'm having a little bit of audio issue. Can you hear me, Mike?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you now.
As
What
long
were
as
you saying,
everybody
buddy?
else, that's all that matters.
Yeah. Well, so what were you saying, Mike? I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, it was a great performance by Sky. It's great to see him, get some confidence back and two come from behind matches, and it bodes well going forward for him for Team USA. Um, things got exciting really fast.
It will shake things up for Team USA because Tyler was sitting in automatic number 2. Shane is 4,000 behind him. Tyler did not show up for the European Open. Now you got two guys who are in the Final Four. They're going to make a massive swing when it comes to points coming into the U.S. Open, and it's really weighted on what Sky does, in my opinion, because if he can get to the final, then the whole Moscone Cup landscape when it comes to Team USA is turned on its head with if you were to get an automatic pick, Mike.
Yeah, probably. If he gets an automatic pick and so does, then it's kind of wide open for that, for the two wild card things. The way I kind of looked at it was at this point, unless Tyler comes back and just looks completely out of form, I thought he had pretty much played himself into at least the number 4 spot so far this year, performance-wise. So, if that was the case, then to me it didn't matter whether Sky made it by points or was wild card. There was going to be one spot left for a choice between an Oscar, a Billy, a Shane Wolford, or whoever. That's kind of the way I've been looking at it. Maybe that's too simplistic, but that's the way I run.
No, well, I mean, it's easy to go and look at recent results, right?
Yeah.
And you can't shy away from 2 regional event wins for Tyler. I think that I think everything ended up working out really well for Tyler to snap that off, but he took advantage of the opportunities that he had in those events, and so it certainly helped. Look, him sitting out the European Open was, I don't know what the surgery was or any of that, but like I thought he's sitting pretty good. Now, if these two guys are meeting the finals, or if Sky ends up winning or getting in the final, I think all bets are off, Mike. Now, I agree when it comes to the conversation, he'll very much still be a part of it, and all eyes are going to be on the U.S. Open. I posted today how excited I was for the Open, Mike. The main reason why I'm even more fired up today, Shane's still in the European Open, and now, damn it, I want to see him at Harris, because now I'm even more pumped up to see him go for 6 than I ever have before. We always know he's going to be a threat, but Shane Van Boening finds himself in the Final Four as well. Mike, give me your thoughts on Captain America and how he looked today.
I think he's played really solid from what I've seen through this event. He's kind of playing the way Shane plays. That was great to see him beat FSR, for a lot of reasons. I just like him going up against top
both
European
Spaniards,
players.
Mike. He exercised some demons, getting the David monkey off his back as well.
He did, and it could have, those stopping those guys in their tracks could, and we've talked about this before. I always watch the Europeans in terms of who do I want to see on Moscone Cup for Europe, right?
Well, we're gonna get to that in a minute, Mike, because there's a kid from Denmark who's gonna
he's
European standings on its head as well.
We've said all along, I've said all along. Listen, I love Fran, I love David Alke, but I want to see some players, some new players on that team who might, who are going to be great players going forward. Will be in multiple Moscone Cups, but the first Moscone Cup is always a little bit shaky, and I want to see some shaky guys in Florida. So I was rooting for, the only thing that to me could have gone better today would have been if Shane Wolford would have stopped FSR around earlier, right?
Yeah.
Because I want to see, I want to see Albin out of the picture. I want to see FSR out of the picture. I want to see David Alcade out of the picture, right? That's kind of the way I view it in terms of best case scenario U.S. fan. So it was great to see, Mickey Krause take out Albin, and then Shane took out David and Fran. Now, those guys still have a couple of opportunities, at least one opportunity to play their way, into Moscone Cup for Team Europe, and they're going to, they're kind of favored to get at least one of those spots somewhere along the way. But you like these other guys getting their heads above water in terms of the points. And Mickey Krause, man, he's banging on the door right now.
Oh, they try to close the door on him. He's got his foot in there, and he's peeking his head in right now, Mike. He's had a great season and has been very consistent, not just in regional events, but also showing clearly with this event as well that the majors are not out of the realm of what he's able to go and accomplish. Now, I'm reminded of the U.S. Open once again, Mike, because it was last year during the U.S. Open when it was a
chance.
Well, it was a Mickey Krause versus FSR match, and it was on the side table, and it was during moving day, around the same time when Shane gets beat by who's the kid from the Netherlands, not Australia or what's his name? The guy who always has Shane's number in US. So what the hell is this kid's name? Anyway, Shane loses. Mickey's in a match with Francisco, has a dominating lead, and then all the wheels just fall off. Fran ends up stealing that match out of Hill, and I remember seeing Mickey just demoralized. Mike, it was a big crowd around there, and I remember thinking, like, man, this is going to show like some character for this kid, and is this just a blip, or is he going to be able to follow this up and this is going to be the start of something? Now here we are, Mike, coming up to a year later, and look at where he's at. He's in the Final Four of the European Open and has been super steady throughout the entire year, Mike. I hope, like you, I hope he makes it on this team because I want to see that arm shake a little bit in Florida as well.
I hope the best for Mickey Krause going forward.
For sure, and I like Mickey. Mickey's a great kid, but I want to see rookies.
But I'm like you. I want to see a couple of shaky arms in Florida, and that's guys who've never played before. So
absolutely.
So I watch these matches with that in mind all the time. It's really kind of weird, but that's the way it goes.
Mike, we all know how you root, Mike. You make you don't shy away from being a homer, and I love that about you. I love giving you a hard time as well. But I'll say this, Mike. Here's the deal: you got Kachi and Filler who are going to anchor the team, and you got Jason, who very much knows the nuances of being a captain. Right, because he's basically had that unofficial leadership role for the last few years, right?
You're looking at those three guys, for sure.
Right. So if you have a Kachi and a Filler anchoring the team who are both sitting in 1 and 2 right now, you really only have a chance of, right now, one rookie as it stands, unless the U.S. Open really gets a little hairy, where a rookie could go and get an automatic spot. And then I fully expect Jason to pick one of the usual suspects, right? And I'm fine with resume right now with this year, because here's the thing. They may have been, and I say this every year, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, they may be stealing most of the time. You got 2 Americans in the Final Four of the European Open. You got a guy like Oscar who could make it in, who's been in 2 finals of this year. You have a Tyler who could make it in, who's won 2 regional events. And oh, by the way, another guy who's going to make this team is the current world champion. I don't think that the Europeans are going to go into Florida stealing like they were in years past, because the core of that American team is going to be a lot more formidable than what it's been in years past, Mike.
Right. I agree with that 100%. And the way to make it even better is for the Europeans, they have to reshuffle the deck a little bit and not go in.
God, I want to see that too, Mike.
Not go in with the same, comfortable 5 that they've had for the last 2 years. So that's all I want. I just want I want them to be a little bit uncomfortable. But anyways, that's all Moscone Cup, and we're talking about the European Open. And Shane and I
I'm going to bring up the matches from earlier today, Mike. We had a few rounds that started off with, I know we talked about, where are we at right now? Sky with the comeback win over Federer. Maciel with the Hill victory over Dennis Grabe. Mickey Krause dominated the Moscone Cup legend, that's Albin Ocean, 10-2. Sonaki loses the Koping Chung. Chua, Mike, who we haven't even gotten to him, but he's one bad dude.
Man, solid tournament for Johan.
Takes out 10-7 Wojciech, the former world 10-ball champion. Alnar double dipping Josh Filler. Like I said yesterday, what would have been that money line on this kid beating Josh and sending him out in Germany, no less?
I'd have gone broke on that one. I'd have gone.
You and me both, buddy. Shane 10-5 over David Alcade. Wolford was the conversation. He was very much in that match. I know we were both kind of sweating it from the outside, Mike. 10-8 loss to Francisco. No shame in losing to Fran, but
he had his chances. He had his chances. That's the thing that's always discouraging. It's like, he could have gotten there. He could have been there.
Well, here's the thing: is that I don't think up until today he was a part of the conversation, despite how he performed last year at the Moscone Cup.
But now, like we said last week, though, the conversation is completely different with when you had 3 of the 4 big matchroom tournaments still on the calendar.
Right.
I mean, we knew that this could go completely haywire. You had 3 of their biggest events still to come. So we had gotten through half the year, and there was still a big chunk of the calendar to play for.
Right, and it's very much what have you done lately? And we've seen guys that can be decent through 6 months of the year. Wolford's done that the last 2 years, right? Where 3-4 months into the season, he's looking pretty steady, and then he disappears. Now here we are. It's kind of reversed, Mike, where he has been, for my money, non-existent through the first, 4 or 5 months of the year. And now he's very much a part of that conversation heading into Harris, which is great. Like I said earlier, I'm even more pumped up to see what's going to happen out there, because there's so many storylines that are starting to take shape now when it comes to the Moscone Cup. Also, we're going to have a guy who's going to win a major tournament, tomorrow, which is great as well. We got Sky takes down Daniel Maciel 10-9. Mike, I'm real high on Daniel. Man, I wanted to see him get over the hump.
You talked about him yesterday.
Yeah, and I'm like that kid's game. I think he's super steady. I thought that it set himself up to be as good as it could be, because he's lost to Federer a couple of times in major tournaments. He was up on Sky, loses in heartbreaking fashion, but now here we are where, you got a good opportunity for Sky to make it in on merit, which is great. Mickey Krause, Mike, takes down Ko Ping Chun, the guy who dominated the U.S. Open, the guy who's been super consistent when it comes to Asian players, and just been the smallest guy to overwhelm the field tournament after tournament, loses to Mickey. Is this more of Ko Ping Chun or more of Mickey kind of taking his stance, Mike?
Mickey had the whole, he kind of controlled that match. Played really well, didn't look shaky at all to me from the games that I saw. Looked really confident and poised. I just think he took it from him.
Agreed, Mike. I couldn't agree with you more. I'm surprised because, in these tournaments, we mentioned this the other day, certain guys just take over whenever they can see the finish line in sight. It was a great cast of usual suspects throughout this tournament, Mike, right? Like the Albins and Davids and Federers and, Franciscos and guys like that. Ko Ping Chung's among that list. And then you got these guys who are the changing of the guard type players. This is a great opportunity for Mickey Krause. Right now, I think he sits in the number 5 spot when it comes to European Moscone Cup rankings. He's got a good opportunity to make up some ground. Victor's in that conversation as well. Filler's sitting at the number 2 spot, if I'm not mistaken, Mike.
Yeah,
so
I think Victor got passed up. Who was right behind Victor?
I think Victor was sitting, when I was looking at the standings today, Victor's sitting at number 3, but David's also on number 4, and he was real close to him.
I think David may have passed Victor by 1,000 or so. Mickey's making his move, so.
The race is on, Mike. The race is on.
I don't know. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Where is Josh as far as ahead of 3 and 4 goes?
So Josh, before the tournament, was sitting about 5,000 ahead of Victor and David, and David and Victor were pretty much neck and neck with each other. Yeah. So
Josh not helping himself these days with some of these tournament finishes.
Well, he's not, but he's very much. Listen, we both know he's going to be there this December. There's no way.
Yeah, wouldn't you love for him to have to be a wild card pick?
Well, the guy who wants to see the whole thing turn on his head, no, because I want to see a rookie kind of take a spot, Mike. Which is what we talked about before, and what I've said. But he's going to be there no matter what, right? You're going to have to face that guy. They're going to put him in back-to-back matches, just like they do every year, to go and demoralize the Americans.
What I'm saying is make him force Jason's hand to use a wild card pick, then the 2 wild card picks are done. Could 2 wild card picks could be Jason and Filler.
Well, this is what you wanted whenever you
Yeah.
set up this ranking system from the beginning, right? It's all up to you now if you're one of these guys who are on the outside looking in, right? Mickey Krause, Victor, whoever else, even David for that matter. You have an opportunity to go and get a spot on this team. You just got to go and do well at the U.S. Open, and depending on whether or not Hanoi gets there. Another guy who took out Alnar, who destroyed Filler, Johan Chua, Mike, the pride of the Philippines.
Yeah.
Kids playing unreal pool right now, Mike.
Yeah. I mean, Final Four World Championship, Final Four European Open. I think he's pretty secure with a spot in the Reyes Cup.
Lock him up and throw away the key, Mike. He's one bad guy. I remember he was very much carrying that Philippine team. And I know James came with some big shots whenever they won the World Cup of Pool, but Chua has been in big spots before in his career. He's got a great opportunity to go and face Shane Van Boening in the semifinals, which we'll get to here in a little bit. But what a great tournament for Chua. I'm really happy to see him get his spot in the Reyes Cup as well, from the standpoint of him being from the Philippines, him earning it on merit. The kid is just box office, Mike. He's real exciting to go and watch. And he's just clutch, Mike.
He is very clutch. He's had his, and he's getting there because he's had his moments in the past where he wasn't so clutch. But I think in the last couple of years, he's kind of, gotten over that hurdle and comes through when he needs to.
Well, listen, you've won gold when it comes to team events before, whether the World Cup of Pool or I believe also wasn't he on that teams event with Carlo and Rubelin, or am I mistaken, Mike?
I don't remember whether he was the other player.
I gotta double check, but he's had great success.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see him continue his run. It's not going to be easy though, Mike. In the semifinals, he faces SVB. Let's start with that matchup, Mike. What do you make of it, and who do you got coming through?
SVB looked really good against Fran. He's had a really good tournament. Shane against Chua. I think, talk about the Filipinos being cold-blooded killers, but I think there's going to be an intimidation factor there with Shane against Chua. I think Chua's going to be he's going to know who's across the table from him.
No, without a doubt he will. And Chua knows pool. He's got a lot of respect for guys with hardware. The guy across from him has a lot of hardware. But I think I think he's more on that ground than what he's ever been before in his career. Where before, I remember seeing him when he was facing the likes of Copigny in major tournaments and then losing, where he's kind of like, I'm looking up to this guy and with respect, right? But now I think Chua's got his own stance amongst the best players as well.
He's got more experience. He's more confident.
Sure.
And I love watching him play. So I mean, as far as the Final Four goes, there's gonna be some good play. Some fun players in there. Sky, Shane, Chua, Mickey Krause is fun to watch. He's not overly the most exciting player in the world, but he's not boring. He's a good player.
He's aggressive, is what I like about Mickey's game.
He is aggressive.
He's very much an offensive-minded player. But when it comes to that Philippine versus American matchup, one thing that I love, it's the degenerate in me, Mike, is that Filipinos like to gamble on Filipinos. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of on-the-rail action of Chua versus SVB. It's going to be just box office. Two big names in there battling it out for a spot in the final of the European Open. I just love it because, as much as we can knock the Americans, and rightfully so, all year long when it comes to not showing up at the end of tournaments, two of them are there in the Final Four, which is awesome. They're earning their respect. And SVB, look, there ain't nobody over the last 6 weeks or so, 2 months, that has played more pool than SVB. The guy goes from Sacramento to Seattle, Seattle to New Orleans, New Orleans to Fulda, and he's going right on the way to go play Federer. In between that, a race to 120 or whatever it is, and then by the way, then I'm going to go and stop in and try to go for number 6 out in Atlantic City. So the guy's in gear, and when I saw Shane today, Mike, out there, I'm used to seeing Shane worn down. And because of his hectic schedule, he's very much like validated in being that way, right? He's 41 years old now,
Yeah.
all these things. But he looked good, Mike. He looked crisp.
He looked fresh. He looked crisp. He wasn't.
Yes. And that's where he's scary, Mike. That's where he can be like the SVB that has been haunting the pool world over the last 2 decades. You know, he looked extremely loose. He's dominating. His brakes seem to be on point, Mike. And so it just makes me super pumped up to see that semifinal tomorrow versus Johan Chua.
Give me the lines on the 2 final fours and the 2 finals.
Well, let's start with the one that we got right now, Mike, and then we'll jump into the other one. I think that from a betting standpoint, what's the race, Mike? Do we know? Is it still 10?
No.
I guess one. You know, if it's 10, I'm guessing.
I think it's 11 and 13, wasn't it?
I don't know. Let's just say for a gambling standpoint that it's 11. I think from a name standpoint, you at least got to spot Chua a game on the wire. If you're like, in other words, you're getting +1. Is what I would say. We got some comments in here. Jenny Ann and Rana saying race to 11.
Race to 11. And then,
if it's 11, Mike, I'm saying you got to spot Chua a game. I'm sure Filipinos are going to love to hear that because they love to gamble on their guy. Now, Chua can win outright. There's no doubt about it. He's showing that with his performance in this year. But I think just from a gambling standpoint, you got to give Shane a little bit of weight because he is SVB. So
the other one's an interesting match to handicap.
Okay, here we go, Mike. Mickey Krause versus Sky Woodward. Can Mickey continue the run, or is Sky gonna, just show up in the finals of this tournament, Mike?
Well, I mean, I don't think from a gambling standpoint, you look at this and say, based on the past year, you don't look at it and say Sky's, a heavy favorite.
But he is a favorite. Don't get it twisted, Mike, because it's still Sky Woodward versus Mickey Krause. And I mean that
both of them have 0 matchroom titles.
Well, but one guy is a Moscone Cup MVP. You know what I mean? And
he's definitely a favorite, but I don't even know if you give him a whole game.
No, you got to give him something, Mike. You got to give him a little something for sure.
Yeah, a game.
Well, especially if you're betting here. Listen, if you're betting here in the U.S., you're gonna have to give up something decent. But there's a lot of other guys who are gonna want to bet on Sky. So just from
you could probably go to Denmark and get a game.
Well, you got to find the fish, Mike. That's the problem. You know what I mean? So you got to find something that's going to be able to go and bite on there. Look, Mickey's got the game, and this is what I also love. Both of them are very much aggressive players. They can both be exciting to watch. Sky, of course, can come with clutch banks, and he makes smart decisions. He plays the game in a real intelligent way. But, man, Mickey is just put the foot on the pedal and go, And so we haven't seen him in this type of tournament before in this stage, against the guy who can punch back at you, the guy who's shown that he can come back in the last couple of matches against big players in Sky. I'm hoping Sky wins because I like Sky, right? But then the other side of me is thinking, well, I want to see the European Moscone Cup team get turned on its head. So then I'm rooting for Mickey.
See what that does to you? That stupid Moscone Cup thing gets in your head.
I'm torn here, Mike. I really am. I'm torn about it.
And you know that in the end of the day, we're going to watch the next term or two, and Albin, FSR, and Al-Qaeda are all going to be in the finals of 2 tournaments in a row, and everything's going to be the same as it was last year.
It's how it always happens. But something just tells me, and I felt it all year long, that it's going to be different. And look, I think I don't know what to say, Mike. I really don't. Who do you think's going to come out of this matchup, Mike?
Honestly, I think
what's the eye test tell you here?
Mine says Shane and Mickey.
I think it's fair, Mike. I think it's completely fair. And Mickey has just shown throughout this tournament of how he can and you can't shy away from that. Now, again, you get respect when it comes to moments, Mike. And these are where guys like Josh and Kachi and a Federer now, Shane, right, getting a couple of world titles underneath his belt, 5 U.S. Opens. They got respect by winning big tournaments, Mike. And so you can be great throughout 6 months of the year. You can win the Connecticut Open or whatever, right? But like winning a decent major like this and more importantly, having a spot to have an opportunity to be in position to make a big Moscone Cup team when in January you weren't even a part of that conversation at all. You know, in Mickey, go and earn your money here, and it's your time. So
it's fun seeing these new guys. You know, it's always fun.
Bound to happen.
Come through. You know, the Mustafa Alnar story going through the event. You know, it's fun watching these tournaments these days to see these guys. Take down the usual suspects. So yeah, it's good stuff.
And I think it's more a credit to just the tour, Mike, because these guys are practicing this break year in. I mean, not year in, but like throughout the whole season. Where I think that they're catching up.
Yeah. Well, there's more events for them to play that are similar as you know, which is always the benefit of any tour. They're playing more often. They're playing the same event more often. It's just a comfort level. They're all getting there, and so it's just not 3 tournaments a year that changes everything, right?
All right, Mike. I know you got to run. Give me a winner here of this event.
Winner of this event.
Give me the final and then the winner of the event.
Well, I got Mickey and Shane in the final.
Okay, so who do you got winning?
But I don't think at that point Mickey gets it done. I mean, I'm not trying to pick Shane because I always pick Captain America. I'm just looking at the matchups.
I'm going to give you a hard time no matter what. I know what you want to. I know who you want to pick, Mike.
I like Shane in his matchup with Chua, and if Mickey gets to the finals, I like Shane. If Sky gets to the finals against Shane, I think I like Sky.
Sky is not afraid to play against Shane. I'll tell you that. So that's going to make it.
If it's SVB Sky, I like Sky. If it's SVB Mickey, I like Shane. If it's Chua and Mickey, I like Chua.
If Chua beats Shane, Chua's going to win the title. Okay, let's just say that because I think he gets there against either one of those guys. With all due respect, if I'm with you when it comes to if it's Sky versus SVB, because Sky can play super loose against Captain America. So I like Sky in that matchup. The other side of it, Mike, call me crazy, and I like Shane and all, but Mickey's playing really steady. And can he shock the world here? I think he can, and it's going to make the final day of the European Open really exciting.
He's really going to have to show us that he can really hold his composure against, because, you know, today he had a couple big matches. They were DV matches. He got through them, played great, perfect. Now he gets to spend the whole night thinking about being in the Final Four of a major tournament and then maybe making the final match, race to 13 on TV against some giant killer.
How much sleep is the kid going to get tonight? Because there's a lot weighing on tomorrow.
That's what I mean. So yeah, if he wins it all tomorrow, then God bless him. He earned it.
European Open. I don't know what time the matches start, Mike. You got a time for these guys to sweat the matches? Maybe the chat can let us know. We can see all the comments in here.
Said that 1:30 Germany time is.
Damn, what time is that going to be?
It's like 6:30 our time, right?
Oh, that's not too bad. Okay, 6:30 is all right. 6:30 Central?
Or 7:30. Maybe 7:30. Maybe it's only 6 hour difference right now. So
7:30 Eastern time is what Jenny Ann says. So we're going to go with Jenny Ann.
Chicago. So then you're probably looking at, 8, 9 o'clock Chicago time, 9 o'clock Chicago time for second one, and probably, mid-afternoon here for the final.
It covers all the bases, Mike. You got 2 Americans in the Final Four. You got a strong Filipino player in the Final Four. You got the kid who can upset the world in the Final Four. A lot's going to be determined tomorrow when it comes to standings, getting some hardware under your belt, getting some nice cash along with that. Yeah. And even more importantly, it's going to make me just pumped for the U.S. Open. Mike, I appreciate you hanging out with us. I know you got to run. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in as well. Big shout out to all of our sponsors who are rotating around here. We couldn't do it without them. And all you guys, hit the like, hit the share button, get the podcast out there. And you got anything else, Mike, before we get out of here?
Nope. I'm all good. Right? Can't wait for tomorrow. It's going to ruin my whole freaking day trying to get work done again.
6:30 Central Time.